Welcome in to a Wednesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet every single day here. Get out and check out our friends over there at GEAUXChevrolet.com. Easy to find them online. Laplace, Louisiana is where you can find brand new car sales. And then in Baton Rouge, Go Express Auto Sales is located on Sherwood Forest and Florida Boulevard. As we said, you can find them online. Jam-packed day as we got a lot to get to here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Adam Miller is scheduled to join us at 8:30 this morning. We'll see if we can link up with LSU's former shooting guard, as his name is the latest into the transfer portal, as we're starting to see really just a flurry of players coming in and out of LSU basketball. We will keep you up to date here over the next 2 hours on that story. Also had a chance to get out and watch my first spring practice yesterday afternoon over in the Ponderosa, so we'll tell you a little bit about what we saw yesterday on the third practice of spring as LSU was out there on the practice field. It was good to see everybody working and moving. We'll give you our thoughts coming up here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Remember, daily our water is provided to you by True Blue Water. TRUBluewater.com is how you can jump on the delivery route today. Our coffee is provided by Majestic Coffee, and every day our phone line is brought to you by Metropolitan Health Group. Real doctors, real solutions over at Metropolitan Health Group. Get in touch with Jason Ramazan and Charlie Harvey over at Metropolitan Health Group. And LSU Baseball last night. My goodness, man. Braden Joubert. I know we talked to Jay Johnson yesterday on game day and was asking him a little bit about his lineup and about Joubert specifically. And this is something that they saw during fall, he said. And Joubert now, after last night, he's got 5 home runs this week. He hit 2 last night, hit a couple over the weekend. If you date back to the Florida series, he drove in 7 runs on Tuesday night as LSU was 15-4 winners over UL Monroe. The Tigers, who are number 12 in the country, improved to 18-7 on the season with their 3rd straight win. But Joubert became the first LSU player to collect 7 ribbies in a game since Antoine Duplantis did it back in 2017. He has 5 home runs in the Tigers' last 3 games, and he's got 9 for the year. This offense has huge expectation, and they're starting to really find their stride. Last night, Gavin Dugas hit a home run. LSU scored 42 runs over the past 3 games. 2 of those games coming in SEC competition against Florida, and they'll tee it up against Auburn on Thursday afternoon for a 3-game set that begins at the box Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But this is what we anticipated. This is what you thought Jay Johnson was going to immediately bring to LSU, was this offensive powerhouse, the power to be able to send the ball deep. And last night, Joubert hits a couple, and Dugas, as we said, was able to scratch one across with a home run. And now you're seeing this lineup really starting to develop and play with some confidence, and it's fun to watch, man. I mean, it's kind of shades of gorilla ball when you were growing up here. If you can remember back to the 90s and kind of prime Skip Bertman era baseball, they were just bullying the ball out of the yard against a lot of their opponents, and right now LSU seems to have that swagger at the plate. Last night, Trent Vietmeyer was the second. LSU pitched 6 pitchers last night. He earned the win entering the game in the second inning. He had 2 shutout innings and 4 strikeouts, but it was a night about the offense as LSU 15-4 winners. I don't think you look too much into the competition against UL Monroe, but you definitely look at the number in 15 and runs scored and the amount of hits and the guys that are slugging for power right now, and really feel good going into another SEC weekend with Auburn, which is a very similar team to LSU, still trying to find its way, has got some talent, but has not had a lot of success early on and still trying to kind of get their feet underneath them. So LSU seems like things are starting to kind of trend in the right direction under first-year head coach Jay Johnson, it's at least offensively, because, as we said, over the last 3 games, man, I mean, 42 runs is pretty embarrassing to look at. So good on them, and we look forward to another SEC weekend at the box with Auburn in town coming in. Don't forget, there is weather coming through here today. school, little J school, who regularly gets out at 3 o'clock, sent out the email that they're going to release at 1:30 today because that hour and a half that they let them out early is sure is going to make the difference.
The wind.
From the wind that is coming through. Wind is now forcing the East Baton Rouge school system to move to a Zoom-only day here because it's a little windy outside. But if your roof is affected by the wind that is coming through, that seems to make much more sense. I don't think that the children at the school will be affected as much as the shingles on the roof will. And odds are you'll probably have some shingles flying around this afternoon with the winds that are coming through. And if you do, you need to get in touch with our guy, Steele Henry from Hargrove Roofing. And he's easy to find. You can get in touch with him by just dialing this number into your contact list, and you might as well just save it. With as much as bad weather as we experience or some of the conditions that you face down here in South Louisiana, odds are you're going to need a new roof, or you need your roof inspected to see if a new roof is in your future. If it is, Steele Henry can diagnose that. He can install it. He can get it done for you, and he can do it at a very competitive price. He can do it very easily with good customer service. Get in touch with him. 318-229-7266. 318-229-7266. That's Steele Henry from Hargrove Roofing. With the weather that's on the horizon today, make sure that you are prepared for that. And just go ahead and dial that number into your contact list. You see it right there on your screen. If you're listening to the podcast later on and you can't check out the visuals, the number is 318-229-7266. 318-229-7266 to get in touch with Steele Henry, our guy, our roofer over there at Hargrove Roofing, helping us out during the storms or during the windstorms that are scheduled to come through here today. We will have Nick Underhill on at 8 o'clock this morning and catch up with the latest and what's going on with the New Orleans Saints. Saints signed Andy Dalton yesterday, the Red Rifle, going to back up Jameis Winston on this upcoming season. Andy Dalton, who spent last year in Chicago, injured. Had a leg injury earlier in the season, which knocked him out, which put Justin Fields into the starting lineup permanently later in the year for the rest of the year. But Dalton, who had signed I believe it's a one-year deal. Deal is worth reportedly about $6 million, $3 million in guaranteed money, $6 million on some incentives. But he'll most certainly probably be the backup to Jameis Winston, who was re-signed.
I would hope so.
Last week. I mean, if you just look at the terms and the numbers, Winston inks a $28 million deal, and Dalton inks a $6 million deal. But Dalton, who is 34 years old now, as we said, played in 8 games last season with Chicago, went 3-3 in his 6 starts. But if you see Andy Dalton under center, odds are the Saints are in big trouble.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it last year with the Bears, right?
Yes.
Like he was
terrible.
I don't think he was very good, but then
no good.
Who was their coach? Matt Nagy.
Yeah, Matt Nagy.
Matt Nagy kept throwing him out there, and he kept saying that Andy Dalton's the starter, and then Justin Fields plays, and it's like no, and Justin Fields played well, and he still kept trying to throw Andy Dalton out there, and I just don't. I think the Red Rifle might be out of bullets here. Didn't J.J. Watt say that? Like he tried to hit him one with on Monday Night Football, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we took the clip out of the Red Rifle," and everybody's like, "Oh JJ, this is peak JJ." That's when he was as famous as he could be, and he was coming up with like taglines for the show, and we're just like, "All right, that's enough, JJ. Go back, go work out."
I hated to see Tyron compliment J.J. Watt.
Yeah, I think JJ went through the ringer. Like, do you remember when he was on Hard Knocks and they remember the named him and had to do all like the workouts, and he was like, even he watched it, was like, this is too much. I need to figure it out.
Thank God.
A little self-awareness goes a long way, JJ.
Hopefully when you're making $100 million in a contract, you can hire somebody or at least trust somebody that's like, JJ, it's time to
don't do that.
Give up on JJ, buddy.
Right, you're not Superman.
You've won, man.
You're it.
Everybody gets it. Good morning to Nick Richard, our friend from Go Chevrolet, is inside the chat this morning. If you need a new vehicle, if you're looking for a used vehicle, pick up the chat and dial into Nick Richard over there at Go Chevrolet, and he can help you out. I had a chance yesterday to get out to spring football practice. It was good to get out there. It was a beautiful Tuesday. The weather has been incredible, man. Today might suck, but all in all, I mean, the weather has been fantastic. And to get out yesterday to the practice field was good to see LSU out there. Tyrann Mathieu was moving around, watching the defensive backs. It is crazy. I saw Hunt Palmer out there, and it was good to see Hunt as he was walking around and Hunt and Hill, of course, the radio show over there in its first season, a good listen. And Hunt was out there checking out spring practice, and he and I were kind of on the same page. Hunt and I have been covering the team for about the same amount of time. I believe we actually started around the same time covering LSU in 2010, and he and I would have almost kind of like a like a showdown on who could name more, who knew more players without looking at the roster.
This is how Plucker's trivia started.
Who's 73 over there?
Yeah.
Adrian McGee, St. Aug, signed 2014, tackle, was a guard.
4-star.
Absolutely. And yesterday, I had to have the cheat sheet in front of my face. Who is that guy? Who is that person? Who is that coach? Where is Brian Kelly? Where are the quarterbacks? Who is this offensive lineman? Just the guys and the new faces and just new sounds of being out there with the coaches. And it's good to see. And the first thing that definitely jumps out, I think, is the first thing that everybody kind of reiterates when they see LSU football and they have the comparison of the last couple of seasons, the last couple of years, is just the organization and the structure. First and foremost, the organization and the structure of what they do every single day, every single minute is obviously tasked out, and people understand where they're supposed to be and when they're supposed to be there. And that just really, if you've covered the program for the last couple of years and you've seen the way that practice is run, and not that it was like a Chinese fire drill by any means, but that there was just, it was not as tight and organized as it seems to be right now under Brian Kelly. We watched 25 minutes yesterday, about 25 minutes. So that's my window into Brian Kelly's football program at LSU on the field. 25 minutes is all I've seen. And the first thing that jumps out is just they're pretty airtight, structured-wise, right? Just from the organizational standpoint, the structure of it. So that jumps out. From a personnel standpoint, their defensive line has to be, in my opinion, one of the best in the SEC, just from a physical standpoint. Just by the dudes. And I don't know everybody's defensive line. I'm sure that Texas A&M, Alabama, and the usual suspects, Georgia, will have a real challenging, competitive, formidable group. But when you look across the line and you see B.J. Ojulari and you see Ali Gay as the bookends, and you got guys like Jaquelin Roy and even, like Jacobian Guillory looks good down there. But, the defensive linemen and down linemen that they have with Mason Smith, Jaquelin Roy, B.J. Ojulari, and Ali Gay as the two stand-up defensive ends, that is 4 pros. That is 4 NFL guys, and they look it. And it's still a couple of months away from fall, and they got a long way to get to Florida State in the Superdome. But I can't wait to watch that group play and how they rotate and how they're going to bring guys in. And even a young Quincy Wiggins on that defensive line, which right now he's running with the third group. It's just far as the reps go. And I don't know how much stock you put into the groups and the depth and everything. But one thing's for sure, that front 4, the first team is Roy, Smith, Ojulari, and Gay. And that is an intimidating group to stand over. If you're Florida State, you break the huddle in the dome and you come out of the huddle and look at those guys staring at you, it's going to be a long day. And then you're coming off the bench with the rotation that they got, man. They got a really good group. And as much as we banged on Ed Ogeron and talked about the stuff that he messed up while he was at LSU, one thing that he got right was that defensive line room. Those cats are big, strong, fast, and they are pros. All of them will be in the NFL at some point. If Tyler Shelvin's logging snaps in the NFL, all those cats that are getting on that line right now are going to be in it. The way that BJ's moving in space, they've got BJ moving like he's going to be like some type of outside backer, and they want him to play in the, they kind of want him to play in the green area, kind of in the wide open space. I saw him doing some shuffle and backpedal drills yesterday where, that's what a top 10 pick looks like. The athleticism on 8 is, it's fun to watch out there. And again, Small window. Small window. So the low-hanging fruit to me was that you look at the defensive line and you say, my goodness, these cats right here are going to be hell for 4 quarters. Hell. Because they keep coming at you in waves. And I think that Wiggins, guy needs to learn how to become a football player, right? He still kind of has a basketball look to him out there where he moves real graceful for how big he is. Once he gets kind of mean and nasty and gets the technique down, and you've got the luxury. That's one of the things that, Wiggins comes into a really good situation because you don't have to be great at any moment this season. You can kind of be given just a specific task. On 3rd down, go get the football. On 3rd down, go get the quarterback. And just let him run wild, like just a untrained horse, man. Just go buck. But that group to me is the most talented, the most physically imposing, the most obvious group. When you go out there and just glance around the field, your eyeballs will stop at the defensive line and just say, man, that looks big time. That looks high-level SEC defensive line play. Next to me would be the wide receivers. I think the wide receivers is a really good group. To me, the sneaky group out there is a defensive backfield. They got a lot of guys out there that you don't know. You're wondering, you're looking down at the roster and looking for numbers, but Shea was talking about it yesterday. Converse, the transfer from Oklahoma State, and is it Mingo's not the Mackay from UL, the transfer cornerback. Physically, it is. They don't look like corners; they look like linebackers. A lot of high energy out there. Brian Polian is real high energy guy. It was good to see Frank Wilson back out there on the practice field working with the running backs. John Emery looks great. Physically, he looks phenomenal. Hopefully he can put it together, man. Stay on the field, be consistent, stay out there and make plays because as Shea was talking about it yesterday, from a physical standpoint, this is as good as John Emery has ever looked and as good a shape as he's ever been in.
Is Noah Cain's not on campus yet, is he?
No, he's not.
Do you know when he'll be able to get?
Yeah, he'll be there this summer. He's got to finish up some stuff at Penn State. He's okay. From what I've been told, everything's going to be fine with him.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't. I just
assumed, there's been speculation of the
Oh.
people that you haven't seen out there on just what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think Brian Kelly said it best, and I think Shea kind of touched on it yesterday. Brian Kelly was pretty clear on it. Like, if you see guys out here, they're good. They're above the line. If you don't see them, they're probably below the line.
Yeah, something's not right.
Something's up. So, there are some questions of guys that you have not seen just yet, but from all accounts, Cain will be there in the summertime, and he's good to go.
I just was wondering how they're going to split the reps up because you saw what they wanted to do with Ty Davis-Price and John Emery going into the year, and it seemed like they had put a lot of stock into John Emery. So I was just curious to see who the other guys getting run were besides John Emery, or if it was going to be straight up John Emery feature back.
It's a good question. I think that Emery kind of is in the discussion of a guy when he's right. Like if he's bought in and he's, he's physically right and he's all checked out to be eligible to play. I think that he is a 3-down back. He can help you in the screen game. I think he's shown to people that he can run between the tackles, which is a little surprising. I think everybody knew that he could play outside and, catch screens and catch the ball out of the backfield and run the ball outside, toss sweeps, bounce counters, stuff like that. But, it's just I think that when you just never been able to trust him. You just never known if he's going to be eligible. You just never know if he's going to be there.
That's probably the thing that he's known for most, aside from one Alabama run, is the Joe Burrow
the Vanderbilt game.
Yeah, Joe Burrow, kind of escorting him off the field because he couldn't trust him in pass protection, or it was a screen to him, I think, and he didn't run the right play, and Joe Burrow kind of whisked him away, and brought in some other cats. But if you have, John Emery, Corey Kiner, Armani Goodwin, Noah Kane, is that it? Those four? Did they didn't sign a running back, did they? Or did they brought one in?
Yeah, they brought back Trey Bradford.
Oh, and Trey Bradford, which was still bizarre to me. I don't know what he's doing. But I was just wondering if you have 5 guys, do you think any of them hit the portal? Are you worried about Kiner or Armani seeing getting a read of the room and saying, okay, I'm not going to be able to play here this year?
I think Kiner sticks. I really do. I think that Kiner seems like a guy that will battle it out and will stay here and find his way. And I don't know that Armani Goodwin would leave. You know what I mean? I just, from the things that I've heard about Kiner and the things that I think they entrust in Kiner in his second season is that if there is somebody that has to play, if Emery was to go down or if he couldn't go, they don't know what they have in Noah Kane yet, right? I mean, they've got the film. They don't know what he's like in the building every day. I know that they love the person that Corey Kiner is in the building every day, where they trust him. They know he's putting in the work. They know that he is eager to play, and if called upon, will be ready to play. So I don't know what that means for Corey Kiner. I don't know if that means, hey, I want to get on the field faster, or I'm patient enough to pay my dues, wait my time, and, deal with a 6-carry game when I probably deserve a 12 to 15 touch game at this point in his career, knowing that, once Emery's gone and he's patient and, next year he could be the future guy.
Right. I mean, everything you said, whatever, you had him on whenever he was still in high school, I believe, right? Yeah. It was coming into his freshman year, and he was as impressive an interview as we've had certainly from a high school kid. So I'd imagine he has that juice or whatever to be able to stay and stick it out and kind of see the forest for the trees. But it just takes me back to last year whenever you were watching those games and you're looking for anybody. Yeah. We were begging for Armani Goodwin to play just to have some sort of juice out there. And now it seems like they've solidified that spot with bringing in Noah Kane, having Armani Goodwin healthy, John Emery back. It just feels like a total flip of what happened last year.
It does. And, really the best case scenario for that room is for John Emery to stay healthy, be right, and be the guy all season. And you just kind of figure it out on who gets the reps behind him, because that's best for LSU football and that's best for John Emery. I mean, this is his draft season, and LSU football needs somebody to step up on that side of the ball and be a star.
Right.
I mean, they need a star. They need somebody that they can count on, 18 to 22 times a game in the pass and in the run that can make plays for them and take pressure off of the quarterback and take pressure off of an offensive line that is going to try and find their way. I love Will Campbell. I mean,
you talk about
nasty.
Somebody who needs to, when you say Quincy Wiggins needs to become a football player, they're going to fight.
And they will, and they need to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they should. And I mean, like that's what they almost fought that day that we saw them at camp. I mean, really and truly. I mean, that was 2 alpha males doing alpha stuff, and they could tell that. I mean, they were getting on each other. I mean, they were rattling each other, and there was going to be a hot summer day or a hot spring day or a fall practice where Quincy Wiggins going to put his hands up in Will Campbell's throat like he did that day in that practice and in that camp where
feels like it's going to be Will.
I mean, those two are just going to get after, and they'll probably be roommates and best friends.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? And we'll be blocking and going up against each other in the NFL for a decade because Campbell is big time. I mean, he is big time just because, to me, of the confidence and mentality that he has. His size is intimidating, and he's got and checks all the intangibles. But just, I mean, like we've said before, I know that this is definitely a sign of the times of getting old and covering college football. But just how young Will Campbell looks. I mean, for how physically imposing of a guy he is. I mean, we saw him at Uncle Earl's 2 Saturdays ago at St. Patrick's Day, and we were walking in with him, and Kelly and I turned around, and Kelly was like, shit! You know what I mean? Like, you turn around and you're like above the guy's belly button. I mean, you're like, but he still has like baby fat.
Baby face, yeah.
On his face. I mean, he still has like you would ID him.
No
you know
doubt.
what I mean? Like if you were a bartender and he even 6'7" walks in and is like, give me 2 beers. I'd be like, hey, let me see your ID, bro. Like, you look huge, but you don't look like
you ain't old.
21 at all. I mean, you look like a baby. And, I think in a college football, once you start to shed that, he's going to go from boy to man, overnight. You know what I mean? He's going to show up at a fall camp next year. You'd be like, oh, my God, Will Campbell is a pro. But even today in his baby giraffe days of being a college football player, you see it. It is instant. If you just zone in and watch him play, he's got what it takes to be a superstar offensive lineman in the SEC just because of his mentality. I think he's going to develop. And Brian Kelly, I thought Will Campbell said some really good things about Brian Kelly's commitment to developing offensive linemen, and that was very attractive for Campbell during the turnover of coaching. I don't think that Campbell was ever a threat to leave LSU or that he was ever somebody that they worried about in recruiting that would bounce. He loves LSU. He loves the state of Louisiana. I think he made a post earlier this week in his uniform where he was still kind of pinching himself, saying, I still can't believe I'm here. This is a childhood dream that I'm now living out every single day. And he should be here. He fits in from day one. You know what I mean? When Emory Jones shows up in the summer, I'm wondering what that offensive line is going to really look like. And it may have 2 freshman starters on it because those 2 guys are just mentally advanced from other freshmen coming in. For a guy like Quincy. Quincy's coming out of a good football program in Madison Prep who's got a good reputation of putting guys to the next level that are very well coached. But from Quincy's standpoint, he's only been a football player for a short time. His mentality is more of a basketball, athletic, wow you type,
this is easy,
freak of nature type athleticism. Campbell has been wanting to be a football player since he's been 5 years old. He played in one of the best programs in the state. He played for one of the best coaches in Mickey McCarty in the state of developing guys for college football. And when he shows up to LSU's campus, he's ready to go. He's ready to go from a mental standpoint. He's technically advanced a little bit further along than other guys his age are. And just his pure
pissed offness.
He's just nasty.
Yeah.
He's just mean. He's just mad. You know what I mean? Which, if I'm recruiting offensive linemen, that's the first thing I'm looking for. That would be the first thing that I would want.
Not a lot of armbands.
No. Even though he does wear, the wide receiver face mask.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
A little subtle swag.
You got a little swag to him, man. He's got, the quarterback, athletic face mask.
Oh, he was the one running around out there in 3, too. Whenever he came on his visit, they tossed on the 3
jersey.
Yeah.
All that stuff. You know what I mean? Some of the pictures he was taking, laying with his hands on his chin on his hand. I mean, he's a very confident dude. You know what I mean? And it's not just because he's the biggest guy in the room. I mean, he thinks that he's the most athletic guy in the room. He thinks that he moves the best. I mean, there were stories that I was hearing, our friend Mason Smith, who now has since moved on from LSU football, but in between that window of those guys signing and getting here, it was kind of, in between the early signing period in December when they got here in spring, LSU was making all these moves on offensive linemen. And Campbell was steadily blowing up the coaches. What's going on? Did y'all not want me?
You don't trust
Am I
me?
not going to play? I got to be playing day one. We talked about this. Everybody's calm down.
You're already in the boat.
Everybody's good. You got to get some depth here. You're still going to have your opportunity. You know what I mean? He loves it. He freaks out about it. He is a football junkie, and it's easy to see. And I don't mean to spend so much time on him, but he is very impressive to see for the first time at LSU on the field. I will recall watching Will Campbell in 2 or 3 years when he is a dominant offensive lineman in the SEC, thinking back to the first time I saw him at his first spring practice that I witnessed and was like, that's an easy call. 66 is going to be a killer.
Safe.
You know what I mean? That guy is going to be awesome.
You mentioned Tyrann Mathieu was out there. What did you think of him going through a practice? Because he's, like you said, he wants to be a coach. Did you get that vibe from him?
Definitely did. I got the coach vibe from Mathieu. Hands behind kind of hands behind the back, folded, walking around the practice field, just kind of taking it all in. You could see the DBs going through the drills. When they would go through the drills, they would eye over at him there was about a 3 to 5 minute window where he and I were standing right next to each other on the sideline, and we were just kind of talking about his week ahead and what was going on. And every time a defensive back would run through a drill, they would give you kind of like that when you see your ex in public.
Or I was going to say like a crush.
Or a crush where they catch you making eye contact, but as soon as they do, you try to glance away, but you catch them every time. I mean, every
it's
time.
It's like when you're cheating on a test and then in class.
Exactly.
The teacher, you look up and you do the.
Yeah, kind of like, bounce back, you know what I mean? Every DB that would go through the drill, I mean, Tyron was just kind of, standing here. He was standing with kind of hands behind his back. And, I mean, they would bounce up and bounce away. I mean, they just wanted to make sure that he was watching. But definitely get coach vibes from him. You know what I mean? Even the way now that he is interacting with everybody on the field. I mean, he made a point to come over to the media and shake everybody's hand and make everybody feel, real big and bold around. I mean, just you could tell everybody was, there's Tyron Matthew. Look, there's Tyron. And he just kind of turns around, comes over, and how's everybody doing? I mean, very Deion Sanders-ish.
Very comfortable
in
who he is.
Very, he knows what he wants. I mean, he knows. That's a good feeling in life. Like, he knows that he's got a couple of more years in the pros, and after that, he's going to start his trek to become LSU's head football coach. I mean, he is dead set on doing that. And I don't believe
he has 10 years.
That
10-year window.
Ever, I mean, I would be shocked if he's not.
Wow.
I would be shocked if he's not. Because Tyron Matthew, I mean, he tells you he's going to do something. Who the hell are we to bet against that? Right? And I mean, he speaks of it in certainty. Like, he is certain that this is going to happen. Sage Ryan was out there. I see some people asking about Sage Ryan. I saw him moving around. He looks like he's gotten not but just bad thick. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it looks like he's put weight on. And I'm not by any means saying like he's overweight. He just doesn't look like a safety that can run like you thought he could. You know what I mean? He almost looks like a outside backer now. I mean, he's physically huge. He's big. Right. And again, he doesn't wear it bad. The weight doesn't look like he's overweight. He's just not as defined and cut as you would think of an athlete like his style would be,
Is it
and I wasn't out there long enough or watch him long enough to judge whether or not he can or can't play this. He may not. I don't know. I would imagine his skill level and the hype that he came in with.
Is it Jacoby Stevens' body?
A little bit.
A little muffin top.
A little bit. You know what I mean?
He's got time to wait. You got time.
But it's not. It's just. I was surprised that it was Sage Ryan.
Okay, yeah, that's not a good thing.
It wasn't. But he could still run. He could still, you know what I mean? Like, he can still do it. Just when I saw him for the first time in the last couple of months, I was like, "Oh, that's Sage Ryan."
Yeah,
maybe it's just the number 15 jersey.
15?
Yeah, it's the jersey. Maybe it just makes everybody look a little bigger.
Maybe,
but he's always been like a little bit thicker, as a safety. Like, even in high school, he was a little bit thicker. But when you see him on the field, you'll know like he can play. Like, he can move and play.
Oh, I'm not doubting that. I look really and truly. I am not doubting, because I saw him play in high school, and he's got wow type capability. Where, I mean, I saw him break on the football, and in a flash, he's making plays. You wonder how college weight rooms affect, different people. I mean, some people commit to the weight room, and you put all this muscle and mass on, and it may not help your game as much as you believe it. I don't even know what path I'm trying to walk down here on Sage Ryan. You know what I mean? I'm really not. That's
what it's been like with him, though. Like, you don't really know. There's so much uncertainty around him. And it seemed like somebody that was a sure thing. And then, obviously, last year he goes through the ringer with everything that went on with it, like, personally and obviously, I guess you could say professionally. But it's just one of those 5 stars that comes to LSU, and you're like, well, we don't really know anything about him in terms of what he can do at LSU. It's one of those what ifs at this point where you get a little nervous about it.
Kind of got a little taste against Florida. Like he had like that one, like a couple plays against Florida where you were like, all right, this Sage Ryan dude is he could play.
Yeah.
But then he kind of just went away after that. I don't know if it was still the personal issues or if it was an injury or what it was, but that Florida game, he had a couple plays where he looked like he belonged.
Joshua Richard, any chance Campbell gets a look at center if no one sticks it out? I'm not sure. I don't know what they want to do at center. I saw Charles Turner over there taking some first-team snaps yesterday. I think that they're going to try a couple of things. I can't imagine Will Campbell playing center. There's no way.
No chance. I can see him at guard.
He's too skilled. I can see him at guard.
Yeah, he can move to guard, but he's a tackle.
Guard. I mean, if Lyle Collins can play guard,
right,
then
he can play guard.
Anybody can play guard because I don't know if LSU's ever had an.
Why did he play guard?
Because you just had to get him on the field.
Right.
Yeah.
Who was it?
It was Chris Falk was the left tackle who was a pro. He left too early. If he'd have come back, he'd have been a pro, but he left on a knee injury, and people were scared about his knee injury and didn't draft him, and he just kind of fell into the abyss. If he'd have come back for another season, gotten his knee right, he'd have been. Or if he doesn't get his knee hurt, he's a first-round pick. On the other side, the tackle was it Hurst? Alex Hurst was the tackle on that 2011 team.
Will Blackwell?
Will Blackwell was the guard. Will Blackwell was an All-American guard on that team.
Okay.
I'm trying to think who the right tackle was. The left tackle was Chris Falk, and Lyle Collins was just kind of sitting. You had to play him.
Yeah, it was Alex Hurst.
Was it Alex Hurst?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I mean, you just had to find a spot for him because he was just too good. It was like Kendall Beckwith. You're like,
get him out there.
Just put him out there. Just put him out there and he'll make plays. And Collins had played left tackle his entire life, and they put him at guard. And damn, he was at times. Blackwell was a dog. Blackwell was he was the All-American, but a lot of times on third down and short, they'd run behind Collins, or they at least get behind him on some type of pull, because he was just too athletic. I could see Campbell cutting his teeth in the SEC in college football at something like that if you've got two tackles that you trust over him. Now, Miles Frazier has not been out there. The transfer, which I believe is going to make a run at either right or left tackle. He's going to be outside for you this season, either right or left. And if I had to bet right now, I'd say he'd probably be your left tackle just because of the experience, and it gives you the luxury to break Campbell in at a right tackle spot or maybe even an interior spot where what I believe Campbell may not understand now is how much that helped out Lyle Collins in his draft process. Now, Lyle Collins' draft was
railroaded.
Screwed, right? But that happened the day of the draft. Leading up to the draft, he was a top 10 pick up until that day. And one of the main reasons why he was a top 10 pick was because he was so versatile, was because he proved that he could play both the outside and the inside in the SEC. And Campbell will now, if that happens, even if he starts on the right side, he will have film that shows the NFL that he's versatile. Did you see our guy Ethan Posick yesterday? 1-year deal with the Cleveland Browns. Nice little contract for Posick, who was out in free agency. I mean, the biggest, if you saw Stefanski, the head coach for the Cleveland Browns, talking about the signing.
I immediately went to John Stefanski. I was like, I have no idea what you're about to say.
I almost called him John.
Yeah.
It's Kevin.
It's Kevin,
Yeah,
yes.
it's Kevin Stefanski. And their general manager was the first thing they talked about was the versatility of Posick. They brought him in to be a center, but they also said, one of the attractive points about him was that he could play multiple positions. And, for a guy like Campbell, if you have that on your Collins has that on his resume. You don't need him to now. Cincinnati didn't sign him to be a guard, but if you ever got into a pinch and you had to have something and you had to mix-mash some guys, he's got the experience at least. And that goes a long way for an offensive lineman where you usually only carry 6, maybe 7 on an NFL roster, right? You got to have that swing guy that can play both sides or play multiple positions, that you can travel and, bring another cornerback or bring another linebacker or bring another position of need. Carpool Queen, what's up?
Why are you lurking?
Just walk through. Just come on.
But that time she felt like she wanted to do it, and then
I'm looking to see if I had water from yesterday, actually. I don't.
People asking him about Pig Cage. I did not see him on the roster. Did not see him on the practice field. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
He took a picture with Tyrann Matthew also. He's around.
Wait, I thought he was on the practice field a couple of days ago.
He was.
First
Yesterday
practice.
Oh.
Yesterday, his name was not on the roster.
Wait,
Oh,
what?
whoa,
Why?
whoa.
Why would that be?
It's a good question.
Has anybody checked his Twitter?
No, this is the first I've heard about it.
So, I don't know what's going on
Well,
with
that's
Pig.
weird.
Remember, Daily, we are brought to you here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Yesterday's NIL stuff was great.
It was so
I want to give a
good.
shout out real quick to Chase Chabot and everybody over at the Lod Cook Hotel and Alumni Center and our great panel that was up there. Luke Derwin, who I was calling Lance Derwin.
Now all I can think is
The entire lead up. For 2 weeks, I've been calling him Lance Derwin.
That's kind of on him to not correct you if it's been for 2 weeks.
Well, he said that a couple of friends have like texted him and said he's listening. They're listening to the Culotta Show and wondering when he changed his name to Lance. I introduced him yesterday as Lance Derwin.
But you fixed it like immediately.
It's one of those things that you tell you read the script 10 times on the way to the.
Yeah, you'd already decided
show.
he was Lance.
No. I saw it. But there was another Lance on the docket. There was Lance Burgess, the sports properties general manager, and then there was Luke Derwin, the chief marketing officer of Walk-Ons. And I called Lance, Luke, Lance, Luke, Lance, all the fucking just screwed it up.
But you did a great job emceeing the event yesterday.
That was a cool event, man. There was a lot of information packed into an hour. Taylor Jacobs, who is the NIL compliance officer over at LSU, I do not envy her job at all, but she is great at what she does. And I would say that she is really the front line to everything that is compliant to what people are curious about within LSU name, image, and likeness. And to get her on stage yesterday alongside Mackenzie Landry from Matchpoint, Crystal Faircloth from Matchpoint, and Lance Burgess and Luke Derwin from Walk-Ons was a lot of information about a very confusing subject. So thank you to the sales and marketing group for having us out yesterday. Our friends over at Crowd Push really stepped up and put some money behind the event as one of the chief sponsors. As one of the chief sponsors. So it was good to learn about Crowd Push, and we'll have some initiatives over here at the Jordy Culotta Show with our friends over at Crowd Push. But it was a good day, man. It was just good to learn about some name, image, and likeness questions and concerns and things that people have been curious about. And there's still a ton out there, into the great unknown, really, of NIL. But that room yesterday was as informative and had as much information as I have heard on the subject, and definitely learned a lot about NIL and how those deals are formed and how they're really they're overseen. So
I also won a door prize after you left.
did you really?
I did.
What was it?
It was one of the flower arrangements from the table.
Okay.
Which
That sounds like you stole it.
wonderful for me because I love fresh flowers, so I was excited.
So you just grabbed one and left?
No, they called out my name, and I was standing right there by the
Because you were
stage talking
taking
to
it,
people.
and they were like, "Katie, don't
They're
do
like,
that."
"Katie, all good?" I was like, "I'm Katie, all good."
What did we win?
Did Jordy write my name down?
Take this plant.
She's still here. God damn it.
No, but it was a great day.
Was it
Good.
Was it Simone or Simon that does like the decorations and stuff for the Bingo
Simone.
Bells? Simone.
Yes.
Did you think she
The
did the
hat.
arrangement? Yes.
Yes.
No, Billy Hermans did the arrangements.
For the flowers.
Yeah.
Shout out.
But it was a great day. It was a great day. It was cool.
Did
a lot of
y'all
information.
y'all couldn't have gotten the Will Wade rule passed earlier after that NIL deal? Is that what you're all reading about?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, man. Just in case you were wondering if they were out to get Willie Wade, check the new federal law that's being pushed up in Washington, D.C. right now.
Well, it feels like that they were waiting to get him and then
Yeah,
set the rule.
They absolutely were. And people that want to stop playing victim, stop crying, LSU got everything they deserved, Will Wade got it coming, he had it coming. Okay, all right. Bill Self's in the Final Four right now with 5 Level 1 violations against him, and the notice of allegations was served to Kansas a year ago. I mean, I know that the defense of everybody's doing it falls on a lot of deaf ears, but the people that are deaf to that, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, this guy was playing under the same rules or trying to be competitive in a sport that played under different rules that the ones that were issued that it was governed by. The rules say one thing, sure.
It's a wink and a nod.
But for 50 plus years, they've been doing it another way. I'm watching Winning Time right now on HBO, an incredible series. By the way, Lloyd, I got the book of Showtime in that book sack right there, that gray book sack. If you want to snag it. Jeff Pearlman's Showtime, which the series is based off of Pearl's book, Winning Time, on HBO. Jerry Buss tries to lure Jerry Tarkanian in the early 80s to become the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers when Buss purchases the team. I mean, Jerry Tarkanian is the poster of cheating in college sports in the 80s, and he goes to UNLV, tries to hire him. The mob shuts down the hire by offing Tark's best friend and leaving Jerry Buss's business card on his forehead to cover up the bullet hole in the back of his trunk. To give you an idea of just the history of college basketball. This has been going on for years. The rules said at the time that Tark and the rest of the basketball community can't be paying players. Tark was paying players for mob money in Vegas, and they were winning national championships. So this stuff has been going on forever. Forever. All 4 coaches at the Final Four this weekend cheat. All 4 of them. If they didn't, they wouldn't be there. And so for this law to come out a week and a half after Will Wade is fired for stuff that has not been proven, is a joke. And anybody defending that, and anybody that cannot see that there was a crusade put in place to get Will Wade, then I got you. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm done arguing that point. But yesterday's bill that was proposed by Congress requires an NCAA investigation to be complete in 8 months. Prohibits the NCAA for punishing schools for violations that are 2+ years old. Prohibits the NCAA using confidential sources for decisions, and requires the NCAA to submit annual reports to the U.S. Attorney General.
That's a lot.
Every single thing that I just named off burned Will Wade.
Yeah, it did.
Every single point that is in that bill cost Will Wade his job. No, Will Wade cost himself his job. Have you ever been investigated for 3.5 years at your workplace? Do you think that would be a fair analysis, a fair protocol to be in? 3.5 years they're trying to build a case on you. They've got nobody on record to give them any type of statement, only the people that are your competition. Penny Hardaway and Memphis are the ones that turned LSU in on the Musa Cisse situation that they say that they got Bill Armstrong and Wade on in 2020. Look what the hell just happened to Penny. They're the ones that said, hey, they're offering Musa $300,000. They're keeping his transcript from everybody. They're offering him jobs and cars and houses and cash. He ended up at Memphis. And nobody's got any text messages or phone calls or anything to prove that, just hearsay. But the NCAA put it as a confidential source inside that notice of allegations. The confidential source was Penny Hardaway's agent. That's who was singing on LSU. You don't think he's got any type of bias? You don't think he's trying to protect some type of brand or some type of individual? But the confidential source told the NCAA that it happened, so it happened, and Will Wade gets a level 1 violation, and LSU is forced to fire him. It's a joke, man. Will Wade's going to beat his case. He's got a great lawyer. They're going to get their day in front of the notice of allegations in the IARCP, BBW, whatever the hell it is, over at the NCAA office. That day is coming. Will Wade will have his day in front of the NCAA court where they will not be able to prove anything. If they can get a fair hearing, if he can get a fair hearing, he's going to get past this. And he is going to set his feet and coach again. And he's coming for everybody. Everybody. And he should. And this bill is embarrassing. It's embarrassing for college sports. It's embarrassing for the NCAA. It's embarrassing for intercollegiate athletics that the federal government has to waste time doing their dirty work because they're so backwards, they're so corrupt, they're so just bad business that they don't even care what this looks like. And I know you probably don't either.
But you should.
But think about the people that are affected by it. Just flip the script real quick. Your job. You're doing everything that your competitors are doing, and you're doing it trying to bring your program and your organization to relevancy. And you're the individual that's busting your ass, getting the personnel, making the protocols, changing the ways and the way that the business has been run for so long under mediocrity. And you're trying to take it to another level. And you're succeeding. But the entire time, the overriding organization is trying to hold you down for things that are happening all over your industry. Everybody that is successful within your industry are following pretty much the same guidelines and rules in which you're working under. And everybody knows that. But you just so happen to piss off the disciplinarian at a higher level, and now they're on a crusade to get you. And it takes them a year, 2 years, 3 years, nearly 4 years to get you. And in those 4 years, they had times where they had nothing. And then they just turn around almost 4 years later and tell you you're fired with cause. They bring a notice of allegations in front of you. They have no proof of anything that happened inside of those allegations. You lose your job. You got to move your family. You got to take your kid out of school. You got to go move to a new community. Stuff that comes with the job, I understand. But if you lost your job in that circumstance, in that way, and then a week and a half later, the federal government was looking to pass a law that would prohibit the way that you got fired, wouldn't you look around and be like, shit, they were just out to get my ass. And after they got me, they realized or they knew that wasn't the right way to practice, and they're going to change the law. It's a joke. And LSU basketball, I mean, look at what's happening to the program. I mean, Matt McMahon, these are the days that he knew was going to be the toughest in trying to rebuild and trying to turn it over. But I mean, anybody that doesn't understand that college basketball recruiting is built on relationships, look at the LSU basketball program right now. Is anybody left? Eric Gaines? Is Gaines the only one that hasn't announced that he's transferring? I mean, in due time. Efton Reed?
Yeah.
Expect that to happen soon.
Remember we thought Sharif would be the last?
I thought Sharif was going to be the only one that they could hang on to just because of the sentimental part of it.
That blew my mind.
His dad. Well, I mean,
that made me realize it's over.
Oh, it's way over.
What are y'all talking about, dude? Northwestern State's coming in here to save the day.
You know it.
Justice Hill, Murray State's starting guard, Justice Hill announced on Twitter that he's going to be joining Matt McMahon in Baton Rouge. He committed to LSU. He was a sophomore for Murray State last season, averaging 13 points and 2 rebounds per game. He was named first team all-conference earlier this month. The commitment from Hill is big for McMahon as the Tigers have lost guards Brandon Murray, Xavier Pinson, and Adam Miller, who all hit the transfer portal. Jarrell Colbert who is a post player from Houston, became another player yesterday to hit the transfer portal for LSU basketball. Didn't play much last season. He was the guy that got checked into the game early in the year and forgot to put on his uniform. That was probably the highlight of his season.
That was awesome.
And he doesn't want to stay. He never wanted to be here. Didn't want to wear the uniform.
That was awesome.
And now he's out. Dylan, Wade got paid millions. Nobody feels bad for him. No, I get that. I'm not asking you to feel sorry for Will Wade. I'm just saying you do have to see that. I mean, the way he lost his job is, I mean, it's what everybody is. It's exactly what everyone in the sport, all 4 coaches down in New Orleans this weekend right now have cheated to get there by the letter of the law. Now, I agree with what they've done to get players. I mean, they're just trying to build a roster and bring people in, but they have done it under the table. They have done that in ways that have been illegal to NCAA guidelines. They have done it in similar ways that they are accusing Will Wade of doing it. And the only reason why Wade was doing it is because they were doing it, and they were the ones that were winning. And he wanted to win. And he was winning. And they were set to win even bigger next season. And now it's all blown up because of allegations that happened 4 years ago. And now the letter of the law says you can really do this stuff. And oh, by the way, we got no proof that he did it. And we need to change the law to say that the way that we were investigating him was really crazy and messed up. It's a joke, man. That's a joke. Will Wade or Nate Oates, it doesn't matter. Whoever's at the other end of it, that is a joke. Brought to you daily by Morales Roll-Offs. Get in touch with Morales Roll-Offs online at moralesrolloffs.com. Easy to find them on Airline Highway. Great site over there. You can make an appointment online or you can stop in and see them. If you need a dumpster rental in Baton Rouge, go check out Morales Roll-Offs. We've been reminding you, if you're in construction, if you're a contractor, Morales Roll-Offs understands that trade. That's their background. But if you've got somebody that you work with in dumpster rental and you got multiple projects going on, use Morales for one of your projects and check out the competitive pricing, the friendly service. They can also help you with a U-Haul if you're looking to move business to business, home to home, if you're looking to move stuff from home to storage, anywhere. They can rent you a U-Haul this morning. Check it out, moralesrolloffs.com, moralesrolloffs.com. New Orleans Saints discussion with Nick Underhill next here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We go on video call.
Oh, absolutely. We better. God damn it.
Yeah,
Hold tight. We'll be back with Nick Underhill, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Shout out to Tom Granning from everybody over here at FM Digital Media, as he is our fuel sponsor. Whether it's fuel cards or snacks, he's keeping us going every day at FM Digital Media. If you're out on Highway 61, make sure and stop in and see him over at Go Mart. It is located in Natchez, Mississippi. It is our favorite convenience store, and it's for our guy Tom Granning, who supports us every day over here at FM Digital Media. Southern Eyes Centers, where their passion is caring for eyes. It's what they do. They've been doing it for 40 years. They've been offering the Capital Region a friendly, helpful environment with the highest level of personal care to manage your eye health and vision needs. Stop in and see their brand new office on Jefferson Highway today, where you can find them at 6859 Jefferson Highway. They also are the daily poll sponsor on the Culotta Show. And remember, if you go into Southern Eye Center of Baton Rouge and you mention the Jordy Culotta Show, you will receive 25% off of their fantastic sunglasses selection over at Southern Eye Center. Check out Dr. Ann Shaw and Southern Eye Center, the daily poll sponsor of the Jordy Culotta Show. Baton Rouge, be on the lookout for the first annual Maddie's Footprints Forever Quarter Marathon 5K and 1 mile fun run and walk coming to Baton Rouge on Sunday, March 27th. If you're looking for more information, it's easy to get involved and register today. Get online at runsignup.com/footprintsforever. runsignup.com/footprintsforever. And be involved in this year's Maddie's Footprints Forever quarter marathon, 5K, and 1 mile fun run coming to Baton Rouge Sunday, March 27th. City Cafe online at citycafebr.net, where good friends meet. Great food and even better service, located in the shopping center behind Rite Aid on the corner of George O'Neill and O'Neill Lane. They cater for parties, big and small. Sundays, they serve a fantastic brunch that starts at 10 a.m. They have daily lunch specials. And remember, you can look at everything online at citycafebr.net. We'll give a shout-out to Squeaky Miranda, Cody Miranda, Dirk and the crew, everybody over at City Cafe for their support here, the Jordy Culotta Show. Online, citycafebr.net. Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Remember, online, check out our friends at GEAUXChevrolet.com. Nick Underhill covers the New Orleans Saints as good as anybody. Make sure that you have your subscription. They're great in the offseason to keep up with whether it is what the Saints are thinking about drafting, offseason signings, and all the offseason news. And the Saints are really at the front of, or the center of a lot of news that's happening within the NFL. As latest is that they agreed to terms with Andy Dalton for the backup spot, or perceived backup spot, behind Jameis Winston, who inked his deal last week for $28 million over the next 3 seasons. Here to help us talk about it, break it down, is our friend from New Orleans Football, Nick Underhill. Nicky, good morning. How are you?
Hey, doing well. How you doing?
Doing okay, man. Doing all right. And we're going audio only here because we did not give Nick the first hand, and this is on us. We're getting into the video call segment of what we're trying to do every day here, Nick, but we just popped it on him 2 minutes ago. Hey, Nick, check that link. We're going on a video. He's like, whoa, bro. I am not ready for a video call, man.
You don't want to do it from that?
Back that out. That ain't happening. So that is on us. It is good to talk to you, Nick. Let's just start with the all-season news, man. The Saints have been really the centerpiece of a lot of news discussion here over the last couple of weeks. What did you think of the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, missing out and landing back on Jameis and where they are at quarterback now?
Yeah, they've definitely been in a lot of the conversation, not in a lot of the post conversation though, about things that actually happened. They've missed out on a handful of moves. Watson, they were in on Valdez-Scantling, didn't get him. They were fairly close to that, so that would have helped the wide receiver room. The pursuit of Deshaun Watson from a football-only perspective, isolated from everything else, I think made a lot of sense. I mean, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. He's one of the, he's young, and his talent level, his age, all that. I mean, it was reflected in the contract he got. He got like $250 million guaranteed, the best contract in NFL history, despite everything that was going on off the field. I think there's a definite sigh of relief when you see just sort of what's going on in Cleveland, watching that press conference. Personally, I'm watching it and I'm just glad that I wasn't a part of it. And, it just seems like a lot to sort through, and it's still going on. The videos of the depositions just came out from his sexual assault civil trial. And some of that stuff, just having to cover all that ongoing, it just would have made everything a lot more complicated. And, I think it would have just made a lot of people uncomfortable, myself included. It's just something I don't want to have to sort through. So in that aspect, I'm glad it didn't happen. I think privately, if you had moments of honesty with people in the Saints front office, I think that they'd tell you that they're kind of feeling the same way, that there's a little bit of a, did he do us a favor by not picking us? And I just think it's hard not to be there. As far as going to Jameis, I think Jameis has a lot of upside. They need to do a better job of supporting him, putting a better team around him. That's going to start with receiver. I think they've struck out majorly so far there, but the market has been really weird at wide receiver. Christian Kirk signing that deal, I think, messed a lot of things up. Jarvis Landry seeking $20 million a year is just a little bit outrageous. And that's something that I think has messed up the market. And they're going to have to figure that out, though. At some point, you got to add somebody. You can't run it back with the same cast plus Michael Thomas. They're short at least one more guy. So maybe that's the draft. Maybe it's a veteran, but there's still a lot of work to do there. And, honestly, if they don't get another receiver and they go into it with the guys they have, I think it would be, just straight up malpractice and something that they would have to answer for. So that's something they definitely do got to get done at some point.
Nick, last one on Deshaun, and I share the sentiment with you. How close were they on the? It seemed like for about a 48-hour window, they were the team to beat and in the lead.
They were definitely the team to beat. They thought they were going to get him. I mean, you saw the contract maneuvering they did to clear the cap space. That was a precursor to what they believed was about to happen, that they were going to get this guy. I think where it fell apart is when they started discussing contract, Deshaun's camp with these different teams. The Saints weren't going to do anything with his contract. He was going to have to play on the deal he had. They didn't discuss that. It was either you want to be here or you don't. You're signed to a contract. You got a contract last year. That's what you're being paid. And they tried to sell him on the idea of, okay, if you want to come to a winner, this is a team that's going to be the best team out of these four. And he considered it, and it was close. He was telling people on the team that he was going to come here. He was telling players on the team that he was going to come here, and then things changed, and it became more about the contract and all that. And I don't disparage him for that at all. $250 million guaranteed is something that's hard to say no to. But as the priorities shifted, I think that's when you started seeing things swing a little bit away from the Saints. But for a while there, yeah, they definitely thought they were close. And if Cleveland hadn't come back in, I think that it's extremely likely that he probably would have ended up being a member of this team.
Teron Armstead, you covered him. He was in New Orleans for 8 seasons, 30 years old, signs a huge free agent deal with Miami. He was kind of waiting to see what was going to happen with the quarterback spot. What did the Saints lose in him departing, and what was it like covering Armstead for so long? He was a part of the golden age of the New Orleans Saints run.
Yeah, as a reporter, I think you really aren't supposed to say what I'm about to say, but I mean, he was honestly one of the best guys on the team to cover. Just an outstanding human, just someone that kind of understood the job we were doing and did the best he could to accommodate that, to teach you about the game, to give you time when you needed it, and just one of the better people I've been around, in that capacity, having that relationship with they're losing one of the better players in the league at that position when he's healthy. The problem is the qualifier there when he's healthy. And for a team that's tight to the cap like the Saints are, you can't really pay guys who aren't going to be on the field. You saw the downside of that last year with Mike Thomas, and there's really nothing they can do then when you're spending money for guys to be on the sidelines and your cap's just in the shape it is, and you can't go out and get help. You end up in a very perilous situation. So I think it was kind of, Tron's deal just kind of hit a little bit of a crossroads, and he's still at a point where I think you look at him and you say, all right, he still can be effective. He's 30. The injuries are bad. At some point they're going to hit. I think they're a little early getting rid of him, but I think you'd rather be early on this deal than late, because 2 years down the road, if you're committed to him, you can't get out of the deal. The injuries pile up, and maybe he's not playing. It was a risk I don't think that they could afford to take just with where they're at in their cap and all that. But look, it's a major loss. They're going to be a worse team without him. I think James Hurst can fill in there and probably be fine. But I mean, you're talking about a guy when he's healthy, like I said, one of the best in the league, and now you're kind of at a replacement level type player. So it's a significant loss for the team.
Nick, what did you make of the Marcus May signing?
I like it. It's a deal that they need to make. I kind of look at him more as a strong safety really than a free safety. So with Marcus Williams leaving, it's an interesting signing. I think he does have the range and he can fill in there. But if it is a strong safety, I think he'd probably be a better player. I think it's a better fit for him. So if the idea is to put him next to Malcolm Jenkins, I'm not sure that's the best use of the players they have. If for some reason Malcolm Jenkins, isn't on the team or something, and you're going into the draft needing a free safety, I think the pieces fit together a little bit cleaner. And just is a free safety overall. That's a spot that the Jets moved him out of after Jamal Adams left, and just some of his versatility in that I think is better utilized in that type of role. So it'll be interesting just to kind of see how all that comes together. I still think they need to bring back PJ Williams too. I mean, I think there's still a lot of work to do at that position.
Dennis Allen on the job here, short term on the job, has been tasked with some pretty tough decisions. Nick, what have you made of just this short tenure on the job, learning, or I guess not learning for Allen because he's got the head coaching experience, but just the circumstances that he's gone through early on here in his New Orleans tenure?
Having to go through, the Deshaun Watson stuff right away. I mean, that's something that was, it's messier than you'd hope for a guy coming right into the job. But look, it's something that he was on board with, so he kind of created that situation. So yeah, that's tough. And look, he's gonna have to navigate kind of. I think if you look at the way they're operating, it's kind of clear to see that they aren't operating the same way that they were going when Breeze was the quarterback, and even last year, I think there was a little bit more aggression, and I think DA is going to kind of have to navigate them trying to ease into a new era of doing things. I don't think we're going to see them moving forward from this point, just based on what we're seeing right now, them being all out aggression with the salary cap, spending every dollar, doing everything they possibly can to maximize their possibilities of, going for it. And I think it kind of makes sense with where they're at. They don't have a team that you look at and you say, all right, that's a Super Bowl team. If this and this happen, go for it. Like, they're a team that's like, okay, maybe they get into the playoffs, and how much do you spend to push beyond that? So I think we're going to see them dial back, and I think we're going to see them get to a point where it's kind of a more traditional cap management system, and there's a little bit less aggression. And then say if they do get a Deshaun Watson type quarterback, a guy at that level, you shift gears and go back into it. So DA is going to have to kind of navigate this area where they're still a good team. They're still trying to win, but they aren't necessarily full pedal down. And, it's a tightrope that he's going to have to walk, and it's going to be a little bit different. And, I think the identity of the Saints are changing right now. You see it. And, all this stuff, he's coming into a tough era. Like you said, you got a left tackle that leaves one of the better players on the team. That's something you got to figure out. They got to figure out this wide receiver room. Quarterback, it's still, it's not like being handed Drew Brees when you're at Jameis Winston. So that's another thing he's gonna have to figure out over the next few years, how to handle that position. So yeah, he's in a tougher spot probably than Peyton was the last several years, but I think he's handling it well. I thought he handled some of the stuff yesterday decently. The answers on Deshaun Watson from all three of them, him, Mickey Loomis, Gale Benson. It was kind of, they probably could have got into it a little bit more and shared a little bit more detail and took a little more ownership of the situation. But, for them, it seemed like it was clear they're pushing it forward. They aren't talking about it anymore. Would have liked to see a little difference in that from a media perspective. But overall, I think DA's handling things decently and doing a solid job so far. But, really the evaluation is going to happen on the field.
Andy Dalton inks a one-year deal yesterday. I know that Jameis is the guy, or perceived to be the guy, going into next season. What do you make of that signing?
Good backup quarterback. I don't think that Jameis should necessarily feel threatened, but if you're Jameis, you're probably looking and did they have to sign probably one of the higher-end backups? You probably feel a little something about it. But I don't think you should feel insecure about it or anything. The last 3 years, starting quarterbacks gotten hurt. Backups had to play. It's a move that I think pushes Taysom all the way out of the quarterback room. I would be surprised if he's even in there in a meeting next year. I think this makes Taysom Hill full tight end. There's no wiggle room there. It seems like everything's pushing ahead towards that. So through that prism, I think it's really more interesting is a Taysom Hill discussion than a Jameis Winston type discussion. But I think it's a good signing for them, good backup. And, odds are if things keep going up how they've been going for the Saints, they'll need him at some point or the other.
Is there a push to have Taysom on the field every down now? Because I'm with you. I think that the quarterback experiment is over. But is there now a push to have him on the field offensively every play?
I mean, I think significantly so, more so than he has been, at least, the last couple of years. The quarterback thing it's done 100%. He's a tight end now. The deal they signed him to anyhow, I mean, it was modeled after the deal Austin Hooper got. And if you go through it, it's structured the same exact way. And then there's quarterback incentives on top of it. So that seems to be something that they're kind of thinking. I think he's overpaid as a tight end because he really hasn't proven anything there. But I think he has the upside to really be a difference maker at that position. And, given the weapons they have, they need him to be a contributor and a good player at that spot. So, yeah, I think we're going to see him in a significantly different role. I think he's going to be, utilized the way he should be utilized. And maybe he'll finally earn the value out of that deal that he's been sitting on, and the new one he got last year. I mean, he's going to have to do a lot to be a $10 million player and kind of be viewed as it. And I think he will have the opportunity to do that, but I do not think that we will see him playing quarterback, practicing at quarterback, wearing a red jersey at practice. I think all of that stuff is over.
NFL meetings wrapped up, and that's where a lot of the information and a lot of the news comes out about the league. Did you learn anything specifically about the Shield or about the Saints during that time?
Nothing that we didn't really know too much about. The Saints are kind of just like in a holding pattern a little bit. I mean, I think the main thing, if you're a Saints fan, just listening to the stuff people are saying and talking about, the main thing that came out of it is that there does seem to be a shared view on the sense of urgency for wide receiver. It's just a matter of approach and how does it get done. And I do think that they're going to do something at that spot. It could be a draft pick, first round. It could be a trade. They could still be waiting to sign somebody. There's still some good players out there: Will Fuller, Landry, AJ Green. There's a handful of guys that you could sign and help out this receiver room. But I do think they're going to try to do something there. I think they agree that it can't go with the guys they have, and they got to do something else. And they got to make life a little bit easier for Jameis Winston. And look, the other thing too is it was just it's been interesting. Jameis talked this week too. Seeing him kind of, this was the first time where he kind of put aside the humbleness and showed a little bit of the fire and the competitor inside of him when he talked. And I thought that was something that stood out to me. And I think that's an attitude he needs to have. I thought he was a little bit too deferential to the Drew Brees era and all that. And I think he should learn from it and use it as a guiding light. But he needs to take that position and be Jameis Winston and not be Jameis Winston trying to be Drew Brees. And it seemed like when he talked, it felt like there was a little bit more ownership of, okay, this is my situation. I'm going to write my story and do it my way. And I think that's what he needs to do to ultimately be successful here.
Last one, Nick Underhill joining us here, NewOrleans.football. Make sure and get your subscription to keep up with all the latest of what's happening. Great podcast and YouTube station for NewOrleans.football as well. Draft strategy. This is how much of Sean Payton not being there changes the direction of where they want to go come April's draft.
It's a good question. I think a lot of the aggressiveness overall for the organization, top to bottom, was Sean. Free agency, draft, all that. You could just picture him being, we got to go up and get this guy. We got to go up and get this guy. I mean, that was just kind of his attitude. And you see it with their draft trade history and everything. I mean, they've never went backwards. So I think it could be a little bit different. As far as the type of players they scout, they draft, they go after, I think a lot of that's Jeff Ireland and driven by him. And the building's just kind of built on the Bill Parcells ideals and how they prototype and all that. I mean, I don't think any of that stuff's going to change. So I think it's probably going to be the same types of players, but maybe the aggression in which they target a specific guy and they have to go get him. I think maybe some of that will change. So, I mean, it'll be interesting because that's really been their approach. They talk about being best player available and all that stuff, but very often draft ends, you talk to people and it's like, they wanted this guy and they were doing whatever they had to do to get him. And that's not necessarily, the talking point of letting the board follow him and just taking the best guy there. I mean, like the Zach Bond year, that was a year where they had to have Zach Bond and they were doing everything they could to try to get him. And they were trying to trade for him for like 50 picks until they finally got someone to let him trade up to get him. So I don't know if we're going to see things specifically like that, but the same types of guys I think will still end up in the building.
Great to talk to you, Nick. Thank you for this time in the offseason. We'll be checking it back in soon. And as always, reading the articles and information on NewOrleans.football. Thank you, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Set looks great. Everything, the growth, all of it. You guys are killing it. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, buddy. We'll talk soon. We'll get Nick in studio sometime here over the next couple of weeks. There he is, Nick Underhill, checking in from New Orleans Football. That conversation brought to you by GoFlow IV and Health and Spa, located on Jefferson Highway. Make sure and check out GoFlow online at geauxflowiv.com. geauxflowiv.com is where you find them online to book your appointment today. They take walk-ins. They recommend you make the appointment. Easiest way to do that is just log online, geauxflowiv.com. Mention the Jordy Culotta Show. They'll take 15% off of your initial visit over there at GoFlow. If you're looking for energy to get through the week, if you're looking to help your sleep, if you're looking to beat some illness, or just looking to recover from a hangover, GoFlow can help you out on that. geauxflowiv.com. Annual memberships, 3-month, 6-month memberships available. Stop in and see them today. Tell them you heard it here on the Jordy Culotta Show to pick up your savings over at GoFlow. geauxflowiv.com. That is goflowiv.com. We'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. City Cafe online at citycafebr.net, where good friends meet. Great food and even better service. Located in the shopping center behind Rite Aid on the corner of George O'Neill and O'Neill Lane. They cater for parties, big and small. Sundays, they serve a fantastic brunch that starts at 10 a.m. They have daily lunch specials. And remember, you can look at everything online at citycafebr.net. We'll give a shout-out to Squeaky Miranda, Cody Miranda, Dirk and the crew, everybody over at City Cafe for their support here, the Jordy Culotta Show, online, citycafebr.net. All right, personal testimony from my trip over to Johnsaw and Spillers. Shout-out to my friend Dr. Chad Spillers for taking care of me, man. I had to have my front tooth, a tooth implanted on my front tooth, and it was a hell of an ordeal, but Dr. Spillers and the crew from Johnsaw and Spillers made it as easy and seamless as possible to work with, and have taken the final product, and it is absolutely beautiful. Learn more online at johnsonspillers.com. Whether you're looking for Botox or you need help in any type of dentistry, whether it is dentures, night guards, if you're looking for Invisalign, if you're interested in implant dentistry like I got, you can get in touch with Johnson and Spillers. Online, johnsonspillers.com. 2 locations, one in Gonzales, one in Baton Rouge. Easiest way to get them, online at johnsonspillers.com. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz. Shout out to Tom Granning from everybody over here at FM Digital Media, as he is our fuel sponsor. Whether it's fuel cards or snacks, he's keeping us going every day at FM Digital Media. If you're out on Highway 61, make sure and stop in and see him over at Go Mart. It is located in Natchez, Mississippi. It is our favorite convenience store, and it's for our guy Tom Granning, who supports us every day over here at FM Digital Media. All right, breaking news here on this Wednesday morning. It is official. Pig Cage has just announced that he has entered the transfer portal from LSU. And
Did you just finish his paperwork? What was that?
No, I was texting him the address. And he is on his way to the Noodle right now. He is going to sit down with us, tell us about the last year and change on LSU's campus and his decision this morning to transfer out of LSU. Obviously, that is a big piece of news with the defensive backfield in Pig Cage. He had some media come out on the first day of practice that really jumped off of his aggression. I believe that was Rodarius Jones he was hitting and just, pummeled Jones into the turf. But Cage
No
has been
pads?
here.
No pads.
I think they had helmet and shoulder pads on.
No, they didn't have pads on.
Wow.
There's no pads.
Wow.
That's an aggressive move.
That was the first practice.
That's the tone setter.
It was. So Pig Cage is on his way up here now to the Noodle, and we'll talk to him about his decision, some of his time here at Baton Rouge over the last couple of weeks. We are still trying to link up with Ace Wolf, Adam Wolf, who entered his name into the transfer portal from LSU Basketball, and it's obvious that he has received. We will make sure and confirm that, but it seems as if he has received the waiver that he was looking for to transfer out. Remember, Miller was a guy that had used that transfer portal, the one that he was graced by the NCAA, where you can transfer into any school and be immediately eligible. He had done that with LSU after leaving Illinois in year one. So now he would have to have received a waiver or some type of clearance from the NCAA to make that move twice. Now, with the coaching turnover and the adversity that LSU basketball has gone through over the last couple of months and years, you'd imagine that would probably be pretty easy to get from a player standpoint, looking to get out of there and trying their place and trying their hand in a new place. But hopefully we can link up with Ace Wolf, Adam Miller here at some point and kind of get his side of the story. Just talk to him and catch up to him about what the last year has been like for him and what he anticipates next at his next stop. Because one thing about Miller that is not curious, but I mean something that had to go into his decision making was that he's been, he went under an operation. He's been in rehab for the knee injury that he sustained in training camp leading into the season for LSU. And there's a lot of trust that goes into those relationships and that personnel. And that personnel right now is on LSU's campus. So I don't know what the thought will be from Miller's standpoint to continue to rehab in South Louisiana, or if he kind of transitions that entirely to somebody else or to his new school, wherever he chooses to land. I've seen some of his social media over the last couple of days has him back in Chicago or back in the Illinois area where he is from. So I've got no insight on where he could be next, but he is one of the latest for LSU basketball to announce that he is entering the transfer portal. We mentioned Jarrell Colbert had announced yesterday as well. That makes Brandon Murray, Xavier Pinson, Adam Miller, Sharif O'Neal went into the transfer portal as well yesterday. So
God, that's awful.
You're really starting to see the numbers pile up for LSU basketball as far as spots that Matt McMahon is going to have to try and replace. And look, he's done some good things here early on as far as just bringing bodies in. He brought in a scorer from Northwestern State, and is it Coleman? Kendall Coleman.
Yep.
From Northwestern State. He was averaging 15 for the Demons, and then yesterday he was able to pick up a former player of his in Justice Hill from Murray State, who was the starting guard for Murray State over the last couple of years, where he averaged 13 points, is going to be coming in for LSU basketball. It's just by no means even trades or even swaps. If you lose Brandon Murray for a player who's averaging 15 at Northwestern, that is not an even swap. If you lose a guy like Xavier Pinson and try to replace him with a player like Justice Hill out of Murray State, this is not banging on those players, man. This is not trying to come down and by any means belittle those athletes, but they're not the players that Brandon Murray and Xavier Pinson are. And it's not replacing oranges with oranges. I mean, it's very much a different style and a different player in what you are receiving. And there's going to be some dark times for LSU basketball before you can really get it back. And I would say next year, just from an expectation standpoint, I would have the basketball program between 11 and 14 in the league. And 11 would be successful, in my opinion. Just when you look at the competition in the SEC in basketball and what LSU is losing and trying to replace it with, it's going to be tough to be competitive next season in year one. It's going to be tough to be competitive from an overall Southeastern Conference landscape standpoint of trying to put somebody and trying to put a team out there that can compete with Arkansas. I mean, Arkansas just got their third 5-star player in one recruiting class. Eric Musselman has got it figured out in Fayetteville. He is now getting players to Arkansas. That was always kind of can Arkansas consistently bring in top-tier players? Can they get the coach to attract people to Fayetteville and stay there and play college basketball? Now it's happening. Back-to-back Elite Eight performances and appearances for Musselman, and now a recruiting class that features 3 5-star players. Players are in the SEC. You know they're always going to be at Kentucky. Nate Oates is getting players. Florida's about to start getting players. Ole Miss, Mississippi State's going through a coaching change. Tennessee and Rick Barnes are getting players.
Malcolm Jenkins just retired.
Sweet.
Can Matt recruit to help this situation?
I mean, I'd imagine he can recruit, right? Like, I mean, he knows the principles of recruiting, and he's probably had a lot of successes in recruiting. The only reservation or the only issue that I would have with that part and saying that he can is that he never has.
Right.
He's never recruited at a Power 5 school. He's never had any experience at this level. And I'm not saying that it's a foreign language. And I'm not saying that it's a totally different curriculum by any means. But it's different. Mm-hmm. There are players on his board now, on his recruiting board, that were never on his board at Murray State. What about Ja Morant? I get it. He coached Ja Morant. But Ja Morant's story of getting to Murray State and Murray State finding him is a Hollywood script. It's a movie. Ja Morant's not showing up to schools like Murray State every season. Did he get Ja Morant? Yes. Did Ja Morant develop while he was at Murray State? Yes. Was he a top 3 pick? Was he a top 2 pick? Yes. Is he now potentially the face of the NBA? Yes. And Murray State and Matt McMahon, for his input on that, deserve the credit. But you've got to do that year in, year out now. And you can't only do it with Ja Morant. You've got to have 3 of those types of players. Not Ja Morant's style, a number 2 overall pick, but you got to have high-end players, Efton Reed, Brandon Murray, Alex Fudge, Sharif O'Neal, Julian Phillips, Traora, Marvell Allen. I mean, these are all guys that are in the same class, same team. You've got to put all those guys together to be competitive at LSU when you're going up against Arkansas, Tennessee, and Alabama. And that is the only thing that we have not seen proven from Matt McMahon. Can Matt McMahon coach? No doubt. 31-3 in a rec league is impressive. 31-3 at a college basketball level is incredibly, outstandingly impressive. There's no doubt that guy can coach the game and have his team prepared. And they run good scheme and they run good action and they take open shots and they're very well they're a well coached team. But so was Trent Johnson's group. He was just doing it with undermanned people. He was doing it with band members. And I'm not saying that Justice Hill is a tuba player. But Justice Hill, he ain't Brandon Murray. And that's not Justice Hill's fault. But when you're talking about being competitive, and look, man, the biggest thing and setback that I think LSU basketball has to deal with is just the momentum being crunched. I mean, you were a freight train moving down the tracks where the whole state was booting up and everybody was behind the brand and the people were buying tickets and they were filling the place up and they were dealing with even 9-minute scoring droughts and coming back the next game. To now, I mean, you talk to LSU basketball supporters that I know, people that are lifelong LSU fans and really try and throw a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm at the basketball program, are now gassed and tapped out. And the greatest way to lose that crowd completely is become a loser. And that's just my fear for LSU basketball, is that you got to walk this line so tight and so straight that, you know, you'll be able to get players with some good NIL deals.
Yeah, I guess so. They have that.
You have that, but where are the supporters for that?
Right.
Where are the boosters for that? Anybody who's willing to spend any money in an NIL space that has an option that says, hey, I just want to help. What's my best way to help from an NIL standpoint? LSU is going to direct you to the football program because that's their top priority. Mm-hmm. Especially when you see Texas A&M spending allegedly $30 million a class. They need every dime that they can get. They can't lose Jacoby Matthews. They can't lose Shaz Preston every year. That can't happen. And if it comes down to NIL deals, well, then you got to pay Danny Lewis $25,000 if Alabama's got $25K on the table in NIL money. You got to be able to combat that. And there's only a selected few that support LSU that really care enough to give money in that type of instance and not get it back. Because that's what you're asking the boosters to do. You're asking them to set up some type of collective like A&M has and like Texas has and like Alabama has. And you're asking them to receive no TAF points for it, receive no perks from it, nothing on paper, nothing that they can say, hey, since you donated, you get. It's just got to kind of be I love LSU. Here's the money.
Yeah, it really does. Why not give TAF points?
Because it's illegal from a statewide standpoint to drive NIL deals from colleges to players. Now, I'd imagine that in the next 2.5 months with the state legislative session happening right now, that will be changed because they're doing that at Florida and they're doing that at Alabama and they're doing that at Georgia. And this is nothing but an arms race. Taylor Jacobs said it yesterday at our NIL event. Taylor Jacobs is the compliance officer for name, image, and likeness on LSU's campus. She said that NIL legislation has become the new facilities. This is the new arms race. This is the new standard of what you have to keep up with. And so, the lobbyists from LSU are steadily pounding the head coaches are steadily pounding the lobbyist ear of LSU to make sure and get LSU on a even playing ground with the rest of the competition. And if that means that Billy Napier can steer one of his players to a specific company in town to get a deal, well, then LSU needs to be able to have those conversations with Brian Kelly to Jack Besh. Or if somebody sees Jack Besh is getting all the NIL deals and they're beat up and they come into Brian Kelly's office and say, why is he getting all the money and I'm not? And Kelly says, sit down, let me make a couple of calls. Hey, Gordon, I got Brian Thomas sitting here. He's a little aggravated that Jack's getting all the love. Can we find something for him? send him my way, Coach. We'd love to take care of Brian. Thank you, G. Go see Gordon McKernan, Brian. He's going to have a deal worked out for you by 4 o'clock this afternoon. Brian Thomas's shoulders go from down to straight up, smiling. Okay. You can have those conversations. Should be able to from LSU standpoint in the next couple of months. They can have those conversations in Alabama, Florida, and Georgia. That's a recruiting advantage for LSU against LSU. So, I mean, anybody that's within that space that's willing to help, they're going to be forced to help football. The people that want to help basketball were people that stood up and said, I want to help. I love the game. I like Will Wade. I'll ride with him. He's a winner. What's he need? How much? I'm in. Those guys have evaporated. Those people have evaporated. Just like the basketball roster has evaporated. It's all about relationships. I had somebody come up to me yesterday and said, well, the LSU players sure have shown that they don't care about the program. Yeah, well, no shit. You still think they do? Wake up. They ended up here because of their relationships with the coach. They don't care about LSU. Think Adam Miller knows anything about LSU's history other than Shaq played here? Think Efton Reed knows anything about LSU's basketball history? Anything about the school's history? Anything about Baton Rouge? No, he's here because he trusts Will Wade. That's why he's here. And if Will Wade's not here, I'm out. Well, what about LSU? Mike the Tiger? I don't give a fuck about that. I'm here to win. I'm here to play basketball. That's it. I'm doing it because Will Wade sold me on a vision, and it's coming true. If he's not here, I'm not here. Okay. That's how it works. Well, I thought they told kids to commit to the school, not the coach. Yeah, it's fun to say that. But that's not how it is, especially in basketball. There's only 12 scholarship players. It's in football where you got 85 scholarship players walking around. You can't form a personal relationship with every one of them as a head coach. Their position coaches know them. One second.
Well,
This is
just
Pig.
sad to me.
What is
It
the
makes me
deal
so
with?
sad. I feel like LSU should have a part in it, being at LSU.
Yeah, they'll get that figured out.
Yeah, I mean that's
What is the Oaks
know.
thing with Scott Woodward that he just founded? Does that have something to do with any of this?
I think that's what they're trying to
lay the foundation
form.
with.
Yeah, they're trying to lay the foundation because I mean, look, Mark Borman, who is the new head of TAF, steps into LSU at a pretty trying time, right? Where fundraising is tougher than it was with the Title IX stuff, the Ogeron stuff, the athletic department stuff, all the stuff that's around. You go in and sit around and ask somebody for money who is, financially and business sense successful, and you say, hey, man, you mind scratching us $150K for what? That circus that y'all got going on over there? What am I paying towards? What do I get in return? My money tied to an athletic program that is, housing and just dealing with a mess. So fundraising at this time has become more challenging than it was. And then you throw NIL to the mix where you're going to these donors and going to these people that you hit up for this money every year and asking them, hey, even with the donation that you make to LSU, would you mind putting up some scratch for players down the line? Yeah, well, sure. What do I get in return for it? Is it a tax write-off? Do I get TAF points? Can I bring my kid on the sideline before a game? I don't know. Well, then no. I'm not giving you the money. I mean, and these conversations have been had at Texas A&M. They've been had at Texas. They've been had at Alabama. They've been had at Georgia. They're having them now at Florida. And they're having them now at LSU within football. But the whole point of this conversation was getting players in basketball. And now if we're living in an NIL world where LSU is trying to get the organization and the structure up to date to the competition, well, first priority is get football players. Get Brian Kelly every single thing he needs to succeed and more. What about Matt McMahon? He's going to have to figure it out. That's why we gave him an 8-year deal. You rarely see a college basketball coach get that type of term and that type of number of years committed to him. Well, look, here's a grace period. We'll let you figure it out on the job. Who do I need to talk to? Figure it out. Where do I start? Figure it out. We got to worry about football. We got to get these kids paid. We got to get deals together. You got to get a structure in place. Because all the people that cared about basketball are gone. They've evaporated. Are they gone for good? I don't know. Can Matt McMahon go in there and sit down and repair some of the roads that have been blown up by the NCAA and LSU's compliance office? Maybe. But playing 3 5-stars at Arkansas with transfers from Northwestern and Murray State ain't going to cut it. Not going to get it. Not if you're looking to go to the tournament 4 straight years just like you did. I mean, winning had become so accepted here. You were starting to criticize Wade on winning teams, which is a good thing. Mm-hmm. That's a good thing. You have gotten to a point where your fan base is expected to win so much that you weren't winning the right way, you thought. Offense wasn't moving. They can't make shots. Can't win on the road. Can't close the big games. That's good to say. They're in the tournament, though. Next 3 or 4 years, the discussion is going to be they can't break 60. Ever. They're getting doubled up. They're never on TV. They get the bad time slots. They're never on national television. Remember those days? Remember that time when Trent Johnson was trying to sell you on running the program the right way and running it clean and not getting players? He was 0-18 in the conference one year. Maybe 1-17. I think he lost. He might have won his last one against Mississippi State. Thank you. But check me on that. That might be a lie. But those days are hovering. They're not here. But you see them in the distance again. If you live through them and you recall those days, you see a familiar sight incoming. And to see this federal bill that is being shopped up in Congress, and that'll probably be pretty easily passed, because who is going to argue for the NCAA? I mean, that'd be like defending Putin right now. I mean, that bill will probably fly through the House and the Senate. 2 weeks after they cut the legs out of LSU's best basketball coach in the last. Do you understand you're still trying to find a replacement for John Brady now? Since John Brady, you have not been able to find a consistent winner in the program. You had him. He was consistently winning. NIT, 3 straight NCAA tournaments, his best team that he was going to field coming in next season, and you fire him. Just when things were getting to a consistent pace and you were going to be winning year in, year out, players were coming to Baton Rouge. They were coming from all corners of the country. You had it going. You're winning. You got a reputation amongst college basketball players, high school prospects. You got Bronny James wearing the gear. You got people out there talking about you. You got people buzzing about LSU basketball. Throw a dart right in the balloon. Pop. Still looking for a replacement for John Brady.
This is super depressing. I feel like we need to dim the lights again at this point.
It's just it's just the facts of it. I don't mean to be depressing. I'm just hitting you with the facts.
Maybe it won't be like that.
What you gonna beat Arkansas with Justice Hill and Kevin Coleman?
I know Arkansas is gonna be amazing.
I mean, you gonna beat Tennessee
maybe
with those
he'll be able
guys?
to recruit and get some guys and turn.
Hopefully he can.
Around
That will be that's what, in my opinion, is not been proven, and it's not yet open to criticism.
Yeah.
I'm not criticizing Matt McMahon or anybody that they can't get players. I don't know if they can or they can't. They just have never done it. And for you to try and cut your teeth at LSU for the first time at a Power 5 job makes me a little anxious. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? When you got Musselman up in Little Rock closing 3 5-stars per class, when you got Rick Barnes getting a 5-star every recruiting cycle, when you got Nate Oates cleaning up in the transfer portal and getting the recruits.
Auburn's all right at it too.
I hadn't even thought about Auburn and Bruce Pearl. I mean, LSU shuffling their 2 best commits over to him, Traore and Phillips.
Legal fees. A little gratis on top for trying to help. I mean, I guess that will be the test case for McMahon is how quickly can you do it, right? I mean, it's going to have to be a marriage of coaching ability and hopefully finding players that fit your system as opposed to just go get the best guys out there. Will Wade was trying to win with talent. There's more than one way to skin a cat, I would imagine, but at some point it does become overwhelming to where it doesn't matter how good of a coach you are. But I would imagine with this bill passing and things changing, what is there to be afraid of to go get? You just do it. Just go, hey, Will, just leave the playbook on the desk. You know? Mm-hmm. Now that it's legal all of a sudden, again. The blueprint's there.
Oilfield Trash 12, you are criticizing the new coach right now. Am I?
No.
I'm not criticizing. I think Matt McMahon is as good, as safe, and as buttoned up as a hire that Scott Woodward could have made for the time of LSU basketball and the time they sit right now. Matt McMahon is an incredible X&O scheming basketball coach that can coach the game and have players prepared and ready to go at every level, as long as he's got the players. I don't know if he can get the players at an SEC Division I Power 5 level because he's never done it. That's not criticizing him. It's just saying he has to do something that he's never proven that he can do. What he has proven that he can do is coach a basketball team, have them prepared, and out-scheme just about everybody he goes up against. 31-3 last season at Murray State is an incredible accomplishment. I don't care where you play, when you play, how you play. If that's your record, you're a hell of a coach team. And you're a good basketball team. And I'm not arguing that. But a good basketball team at Murray State and the roster that Murray State has to be good is a different team at LSU and their roster that is good. And the only difference is recruiting the players. The one thing that he has not proven that he can do is recruit that type of player. Getting Memphis's assistant and Toppert like he did 2 days ago was an extreme step forward in showing he's taking the strides to get the players. Because the same thing that was going on at Memphis for the last couple of seasons has been going on at LSU. They've been trying to get up to the table to say, we want to be competitive against Kansas, Duke, Villanova, and North Carolina. Where are they? The Final Four. How do they do it? Not above the table.
Well, couldn't you have said the same thing about Will Wade when he got here? Mm-hmm. He didn't recruit at a Power 5 level. He wasn't at a Power 5 job.
Exactly.
Right.
No, you absolutely could. And we said that when McMahon was hired.
Right.
But the first thing that Wade did when he got to LSU was he found the relationships in the community that could make it happen to get the players. And Matt McMahon needs to form those relationships. I don't know if those people exist anymore, not because they don't like Matt McMahon, because they're just so pissed off that Will Wade's not here. Right? Pig Cage is calling. I think he's here. We'll be right back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Remember, daily, we're brought to you by Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Stop in and see our friend Jude Barker and the entire crew over there to pick up, to help you out with any of your plumbing needs that you need today. They are number one and a number two business. They specialize in all works of plumbing, industrial, commercial, residential. They employ 30-year veterans of the plumbing force and the new and up-and-coming plumbers in the industry as well. They've got experienced carpenters on staff and plumbers for all of your industrial remodel needs. They cover Baton Rouge every single day. They got 2 trucks in Baton Rouge each day. So if you dial the number 225-776-2431, 225-776-2431, and mention the Jordy Culotta Show, you get a 15% discount off of your bottom line from Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Number one and the number two business. No social media. No website. Guys got work coming in for years, man. Busy. Get in touch with it. The only way to do it is dial this number, 225-776-2431. Mention the Jordy Culotta Show, 15% off. Pig Cage, LSU defensive back, just put his name into the transfer portal this morning. He's here with us inside of the studio. Next, we'll ask him why here on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. out to Tom Granning from everybody over here at FM Digital Media, as he is our fuel sponsor. Whether it's fuel cards or snacks, he's keeping us going every day at FM Digital Media. If you're out on Highway 61, make sure and stop in and see him over at Go Mart. It is located in Natchez, Mississippi. It is our favorite convenience store, and it's for our guy Tom Granning, who supports us every day over here at FM Digital Media. Southern Eye Centers, where their passion is caring for eyes. It's what they do. They've been doing it for 40 years. They've been offering the Capital Region a friendly, helpful environment with the highest level of personal care to manage your eye health and vision needs. Stop in and see their brand new office on Jefferson Highway today, where you can find them at 6859 Jefferson Highway. They also are the daily poll sponsor on the Culotta Show. And remember, if you go into Southern Eye Center of Baton Rouge and you mention the Jordy Culotta Show, you will receive 25% off of their fantastic sunglasses selection over at Southern Eye Center. Check out Dr. Ann Shaw and Southern Eye Center, the daily poll sponsor of the Jordy Culotta Show. Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet here on this Wednesday morning. Make sure you stay safe out there. We reminded you about our roofing specialist, Steele Henry. Get in touch with him today, or just put this contact into your phone, 318-229-7266, 318-229-7266, to get in touch with our friend Steele Henry from Hargrove Roofing, who can help you out with any troubles that you may have today. It is our honor to welcome back Pig Cage into our set. Pig was here with us a little earlier this year as we were having some watch parties over here. He came through and watched, I believe, the national championship game over here at the studio, and is now back here in the morning, which I know is very tough for him as his name was put into the transfer portal. His phone has been blowing up from college coaches is all over the country already, but a guy who loves Louisiana, loves LSU, and had a special time, and I know a special meeting earlier this week with Tyrann Mathieu, who had some really good words of wisdom for KG, joins us now here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Pig, good morning. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. How y'all doing?
Doing good. Thank you for joining us, man. I know this is a tough morning. Take me through the last, 48 hours of your life. How did you end up in the decision to put your name into the portal this morning?
Honestly, I was really just looking for an opportunity to show what I can do, and the opportunity really wasn't there this spring, and I decided to go in the transfer portal and look for a better opportunity so I can play and show the world what I can do.
This is the second time that you've done this. What was the experience like in transferring into LSU? What has your time been like in Baton Rouge? What did you learn now that you go through this process again?
I'm a Louisiana guy, so LSU has been my dream school. That's why I wanted to go since I was a kid. And Tyrann Mathieu, my favorite player, so that's what I want to be like. And I just wanted to be like the experience and see how it was to put on for Louisiana, because I'm a Louisiana guy, and that's what I like to do.
Your Louisiana came shooting out of you, I thought, earlier this week when the first practice film that came out. Rodarius Jones was going through a blocking drill with you, and in Tyrann Mathieu type fashion. I mean, really, it was kind of reminiscent of him on the practice field. You came in and just blew Rodarius Jones up. I think we had like 10,000 views on the thing before it was even 3 hours old. What was your mentality? What is your mentality at this point in your career? It seems like you were kind of playing on fire right now.
I'm older now, so it really just like sticking to the plan, strictly business. Got to practice how you play, and that's how your game come out the way it's supposed to come out. If you practice how you play, you run it full speed, do every drill full speed. You ain't got no choice but to play full speed.
What was this last couple of months like since Brian Kelly's been on the job? New DB's coach, new defensive coordinator. What's it been like trying to get adjusted to that and then being out on the field? How much did that go into the decision of what was made this morning?
When Coach Brian Kelly and them came in, they came in. You could tell the staff had a lot of differences. Like, it's well put together. Those guys know what they're doing. I learned a lot of NFL things from those guys. But opportunity really wasn't there for me to really get there and showcase my talent. So I felt like it was best for me to go into the transfer portal.
What was the message from Tyrann Mathieu? I saw the picture that you put out with him earlier this week as you met him inside the football facility. What's the feeling around Mathieu playing at DBU, and then for you personally, what was it like having that instance of meeting him?
Honestly, man, when somebody texted me and told me that he was on campus or whatever and sent the picture of him and my Coach Kelly. And I really felt like I could pass out, honestly, because that was my first time really. I really felt like I could pass out, honestly, because that's the only film I really watch besides myself, if I'm watching like another opponent. But other players, that's the only, him and Jamal Adams, that's it. But when I was like going up there to meet him or whatever, I don't even know, man. My heart was like kind of shaky. I was just like happy. And as soon as I walked up there, one of the coaches, Coach Sherm, he was up there, and I had a lot to say when I wanted to, I had been practicing this speech for years.
I love that.
Whenever I meet him, I got to tell him all of this or whatever. But it was kind of weird.
Couldn't get it out?
Nah, I couldn't get it out because I was
You
just like
didn't do
so shocked. I was like so shocked or whatever. So, but I kind of got put on the spot because when I was walking up, when you about to talk to someone, you like got to gather yourself or whatever. So I was about to gather myself, and Coach Sherm, he knew that like Tyrann Mathieu, my favorite player or whatever. So as soon as he seen me, he like, I already know what you up here for. So he went inside the room where Tyrann was at. Tyrann was about to leave out to go do something or whatever. And I was just going to walk up to him, start holding a conversation with him, introduce myself and stuff. But before I could do that, Sherm already went in there and told him, somebody want to meet you. So I was like, dang, I can't even gather my thoughts.
I know my boy told you I have a crush on you, but
right, that's what I'm saying. Like, dang, like, man, this dude really, like, he the GOAT.
Yeah.
So I just shook his hand, introduced myself. He said a few things. I said a few things, and after that, I left because he was leaving. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy. Yesterday, when I went to go into the compliance office to put my name into the portal, guess he was outside the building.
Oh, wow.
He right outside the building or whatever. So like
You talked to him then?
Yeah, so he got a saying. He said like he called everybody like 5 or whatever like that.
Yeah.
So as soon as I got out of the car, I hurried up and parked the whip. So like I was gonna park like in front of the building, but I parked right here. I was like, I
ain't gonna be here anymore.
Right. I'm with 5.
Yeah.
This might be my last time seeing him before I get to the league or whatever. So he was right there, so I hop out the car. The first thing I said, was that 5? Like I know him. So I'm like, man, you my favorite player, man. I'm inspired by you, yada yada. But like, just keep going. And then I shook his hand, and he got in the limo truck and left.
Yeah.
And I just like, man, that felt good.
Yeah,
Like my last day here, I get to see my favorite player
I
again.
know.
Yeah,
That's
man.
awesome.
You follow that sign. You see
Yeah,
that
yes,
sign,
sir.
man. What are you looking for next?
Honestly, man, it really doesn't even matter where I go. I just need the opportunity. I'm gonna put myself on. It's time to put Pit Cage on the map. I gotta stop playing the back burner and playing in people's shadows. Like I've been trying to do that my whole life, even when I was in high school. You know what I'm saying? But I always find a way to make the best of it. You know what I mean? But it's time to put me all the way on top.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
How many teams have been in contact already?
Man, probably like 15.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and all of them already talking like offers. So I really feel like I ain't really mean no sense for me to stay here if I'm not on scholarship and if I can't earn one. And that was my whole key. I don't want nobody to give me anything.
Uh-huh.
If I wanted somebody to give me something, I would have went the first time out the portal to a scholarship. But the way I live my life, I'm trying to earn everything.
How different is LSU football now than it was 4 months ago?
Oh man, it's on a tight string,
It
tight
is.
rope. Everything is like, I'm not gonna say it's like the Army, but it's kind of like the league. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they got this strong belief in what they believe in, strong belief in doing it the Brian Kelly way, and that's good. That's gonna keep everybody in track, keep everybody in line. Like, you know, everything, you have to do everything the correct way. If not, then it's a problem.
Accountability seems like the word.
Yeah,
That jumps
that's the word. That's the word. Like everything is accountable. Got to be disciplined. The way we had something called SWAT team,
Yeah.
and the SWAT team, like, you know, is like probably like 10, 12 guys on each team or whatever, and everything is done by your team. Like you got to question it, you got to fill out about your body in the morning time. Everything, like you got to eat at least 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
You got to take all the vitamins and stuff they give you. You got to have protein shake. You don't do none of this, you get points taken off. And like they say playing time and stuff come off of the board, your points. Your reps and all that come off the board and the points. So if your points and your board not up, you could be the best player on the team.
Yeah.
You're not gonna play because they feel like you're not accountable. They feel like they can't rely on you.
I thought Jack Besh had a beautiful way of describing it, and it was like you said, you have the 10 or 12 teams, and then there's a captain of every team.
Every team,
I believe Besh was a captain of a team, and they said, "What's the motivation?" And he said, "Not to finish 10th."
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
That's the real motivation. Like, because if you finish last on the Wednesday when they announce the team who won, you got to do extra work. And then, like, all the coaching staff, they're just looking right at your team like, damn,
Yeah.
this team not really doing too much. This team
Right.
not doing much. And it's like, it really fall on every guy on the team. So that really put everybody on the team on the back burner. And I'm not going to lie to you. My team was the team that was always damn near last.
Really?
Yeah. Because we had a lot of hurt guys. Like, we had Major Burns was our captain. But he was hurt. So, like, you can't earn points if you hurt.
Wow.
And for the first 2 months.
Everybody's accountable in this thing.
Right, yeah, everybody
Yeah.
accountable. For the
Right.
first 2 months, I had got surgery. I think I got the surgery right after I came
That's
over
right.
here.
That's right. That's right.
And when I got the surgery, I couldn't go to the meals and I couldn't go to the like weights and all that. And like even though they knew I was hurt, the points still came off.
Wow.
So
That's a
that put me back on the back burner some more. Like,
What are you supposed to do then?
I know.
right? Like they say, like
I think it's to get you out of the rehab room, and it's for the guys that say, "I got an ankle that doesn't feel right today."
Right.
Get them on the field, huh?
yeah, it's like it's really just keeping you accountable. Like, you know, it's a great system. It's nothing bad with the system. It's just that, like, when I was hurt, you got to go to the meals, you got to sign in, all that, else you get like 15 points. You come late to anything, like 15 points off, stuff like that. And then they got a line underneath it, and if you miss something, you go underneath the line. But if you miss multiple things, like 2 or more things, they put red by your name. So that makes you look like
You're
Yeah.
standing
Yeah,
out.
demerit.
Yeah, you're like a bad apple.
Yeah,
You got, like,
absolutely.
that's what I'm
Right.
saying. So like, then like the first 2 weeks, I couldn't go to nothing because I couldn't walk and couldn't go to the meals and stuff like that. And they're supposed to bring you food. And me, in my mind, I'm thinking like I'm not getting points taken off because I'm hurt.
Right.
But when I got back, man, I had negative 49 points.
Oh my God.
I'm like, I'm literally the last one on the team. Damn,
Wow.
they're like, you know, and then I started back working out and stuff like that, but my points wasn't really going up. I don't know why. I don't even know how you could really got them up, honestly. Like, if you went to, like, basketball games or something like that, they might give you, like, 25 points and help your team out. But my team had, like, guys that was hurt and stuff like that, so we couldn't get points. We was always damn near last.
Yeah. Do you want to stay in the SEC? Do you want to stay at this level of football?
Honestly, I'm not really trying to go to where they got 100 DBs.
Mhm.
I need to play. And I'm not scared of competition. I think everyone know that. I get in and compete with anybody. And I kind of do want to play again in the SEC so I can have opportunity to play against LSU again. But honestly, I just want to play again at the FBS level and be able to show what I can do because you can make it from anywhere. They got guys making it from HBCU level, D2. Like, it really don't matter. You just got to put the numbers up.
You feel like a nickel to me.
Yeah.
Is that where you feel most comfortable?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I got to be close to the ball. I like to blitz. I like to go get sacks. Like, when I was at Nichols, I was third in the nation in TFLs.
Yeah.
I made probably like 3 TFLs every game I played in. And then when I came here, they finally put me in 3 TFLs again. I lived behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be
Jamal
aggressive.
Adams.
Yeah. I feel like every time you call HUD, I can make every play.
Uh-huh.
And if I don't make the play, I feel like I'm sad. So,
Kerry Cooks, what was your impression of him? The
Loved
short
him.
time on the job,
Loved
LSU
him.
defensive backs coach.
he was a great coach. Like, you can't say nothing bad about him. Coach Steeples, great coach. I learned a lot from him in the little short time that we had. Cause like when we had Coach Durante and them, they was talking from another perspective, like another league perspective. Well, I'm gonna say like in his terms, in Coach Durante terms. And then when Coach Steeples and Coach Cooks came in, they brought their terms in. So I feel like I grew and I got more more league ready because I got coached by 2 league staff. So and I heard 2 different terminologies. I heard 2 different defenses because the defenses is 2 different. Like, they're not even the same. So like I really felt like I grew. And those guys, they took good care with me and they made sure I was straight.
What was that experience like for you late in the season where you played a lot of football?
Honestly, man, that's all the thing I was ready to do. Like, I felt like it was all in God's timing. Like, I wanted to play early. I wanted to play the first week, but it's all in God's timing. And I felt like over that time I developed my mindset. Like, when you're going through stuff like that, your mindset be up and down. You don't know what to think sometimes. So, like, at times I'm thinking, like, man, I could get in and kill right now. And then sometimes if you're sitting on the bench so long, you're like, man, am I ready? Do I still, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
the mental part, right?
Right, it's the mental part. Like, you got to keep your mental in there. And that's the only thing I was trying to do. And finally, when they started, like, telling me, like, man, you're gonna play this week, you're going to get the opportunity, I just felt like, man, I'm not about to go out here, cameras out here and make me look silly. I got to do everything. So I started locking in, make sure my body was right, just practicing hard. That's why I really learned that, like, high school, like, my coach was crazy with practicing, running to the ball. And then when, like, they finally telling me I'm about to play, like, I feel like I got to practice 1,000.
Yeah.
And when the Bama week came, that's when I tore my meniscus Bama week. And I was going crazy at practice. Like,
No doubt.
Picks, everything, like TFLs. And, like, the defense that we was playing against Bama that week was the defense that my game style played. Yeah. And
So
the crazy thing about it
got out of the way.
is Tuesday, going into the game, I tore my meniscus. Next day, I come back Wednesday, I'm like limping and stuff like that. I'm telling them I'm straight, like, because I'm from Kenner, Louisiana. Who don't want to play against Bama? LSU versus Bama. You feel what I'm saying? Like, this is like the biggest game in the world. Like, I got to play. So, coaches, they keep asking me, like, you straight, you good? So, I'm like, yeah, I'm good. But all in all, my knee is really killing me. So, I go to practice like 2 days. I'm limping or whatever. So, one day, Thursday, they had let me sit out, got treatment and stuff like that. So, when the game time come, my leg really wasn't hurting. So we get to pregame, stuff like that. Man, I get to pregame. As soon as I take off for the first go ball, it popped. I'm like, man. Then I'm about to start. And they had like gave me something to take for like the pain or whatever. And I'm just like, man, I got to play. So after that game, they was trying to get me to get surgery. But I'm like, my time finally came at the school that I want to be at. So now it's time for me to show. So I got to just play through that. And that's how I just look at it. Like, and that should show people like how I'm coming too, because like I'm never gonna say like if I can play through it, I'm gonna play through it, like, because I feel like if I don't eat, my family don't eat, and I gotta eat. So
you're easy to pull for, bro.
Yeah.
We were pulling for you. Hate the fact that it did not work out at LSU. Would have loved to seen you in the purple and gold for 3 more years. But whoever picks you up gets a good human being first, and then a dog of a football player.
Yes, sir.
I can feel your motivation. I can feel your drive right now. I feel like you are on the cusp. You're about to get it. So go get it, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you for stopping by this morning.
Yes, sir.
Pig Cage in the studio with us. We are signing off this Jordy Culotta show here on this Wednesday. Stay safe out there in the windy weather today. Make sure that you are safe out there. I know you probably have a house full of kids with school being called off. If you do, have a good day out there. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Mikey Matuk from Mic'd Up will be in at 11 to 1 o'clock. Make sure you are tuned in. Special announcement, Mic'd Up set to go live from Uncle Earl's each Friday here that we will announce. Mikey will announce that, but a little primer, and he will be there this week over at Uncle Earl's from 3:30 to 5:30, getting you set up for Auburn LSU. That'll be game 2 of that series. First pitch will be coming your way later that afternoon. But go pregame over at Uncle Earl's with Mike Dupp and everybody over there at Uncle Earl's on Perkins Road. For our guy Pig Cage, who stopped in this morning on a very tough day for him and was very transparent and honest about where he is in his football journey, we are pulling for him and cheering him on. For the Carpool Queen, Lloyd, Stewie, Noah, Mikey, I'm sorry, my guy, what's his name? Bryson from Tiger TV. Braxton from Tiger TV. We're signing off of this Jordy Culotta show live on this Wednesday, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
So no chance you stay? You don't have to. You just can look at the portal. You can stay right here. You ain't got to go.
Man,
it's a lot of work.
I'm not even going to lie to you, man. Like I said, I wasn't even going into the portal, man. I really wanted to stay here. Like, this is where I want to be at. This is where I feel like I can do it at. This, like, the platform, the SEC